I'm curious to see what Chip Kelly has in store here with that hurry-up offense. I really want to see how – I don't think the Eagles are going to be good, but the Redskins with RG3, is he different than the previous version of RG3? Look at Tony Dungy all dressed up. You didn't get dressed up for me.
No, I'm going to see the commissioner.
Oh, wait. Are you in trouble with the commissioner?
No, I don't think so anyway.
Have you met with the commissioner before and been in trouble?
Not this commissioner.
Okay. Oh, really? Commissioner Tagliabue?
Yeah, I had a couple meetings with him where I was in trouble.
What happened?
I think I said something about Ed Hockley.
You criticized him?
Yes, it was actually the first game of instant replay, and they overturned a call that they shouldn't have, and it was bad. I was wrong.
Okay, you can't show up late to the meeting, so what time do you have to be out of here?
9:30.
9:30?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, if you're late.
Dan made me late.
Great.
I'll throw you under the bus.
Great, yeah. I don't know what kind of mood the commissioner is going to be in, but I know everybody at NBC meeting with the commissioner today.
Yeah, we are.
Here's something that we talked about yesterday, and then there's a few things we'll talk about, but these hits that we saw in the Jets-Tampa game, I know you, being a former defensive coordinator, Rodney Harrison, a former defensive back with the Patriots, you're watching these guys with these hits. Deshaun Goldston, I'm trying to figure out if I'm a defensive player. You've basically taken everything away from us to play the game. Every rule, every advantage is for the offense. And now you're looking at these guys saying, where can I hit you what is considered a fair or good football hit?
That is the problem I see, Dan. People are making adjustments, and they are worried about safety, and they are trying to do it right. Deshaun Goldston made 2 plays yesterday where I don't know how you coach him any differently, other than say, you know what, we just cannot hit up high anymore, because if we do and if we miss by 6 inches, this moving target, we're going to get a penalty and it's going to cost our team. Or if the official says, well, I thought you led with your helmet, but you really hit him with the shoulder pad, but we called it anyway. So you're going to say, I can't take that chance. And I'm going to start going low, and you're going to see more and more low shots. We had this when they first put the quarterback rule in. And we had a guy, Chris Dolman, jump to try to block a pass and barely touched the quarterback's helmet. And we got a 15-yard penalty. I was the defensive coordinator. I said, enough of that. We're not hitting any quarterbacks above the waist anymore. We're going low. And then it was the knee shots that people started worrying about, and then they put that rule in. But I can see this with defensive backs. I'm going to go low. I'm going to go below the waist because I can't take a chance.
But, Tony, how do you judge intent with these defensive players in what you think they're trying to do?
Well, that's the problem. It's not intent. And I saw Golston. He's trying to do it right. But they're saying, well, any contact, if it ends up hitting there, it's going to be a penalty. So that's what you're going to have to coach that. You can't get 15-yard penalties. Guys don't want to get fines. They're going to adjust their game, and there may be some unintended consequences.
Tony Dungy joining us here in the Man Cave in New York City. I think the guy who's going to be fined and should be suspended of all the hits yesterday is Ndamukong Suh.
He has to be for that. And if not, there's going to be some people upset because that was truly a defenseless player out of the play and a low block that you just can't do.
I mean, it's a cut block, and defensive linemen complain about cut blocks all the time, and Ndamukong Suh does that to the offensive lineman for the Vikings, not in the play. And they're going to get a touchdown, and he just takes his legs out from underneath him. Would you suspend Ndamukong Suh for that hit?
If I was the commissioner, yes. I don't think I'd suspend him, but it'd be a huge fine.
But this is what we're remembering Ndamukong Suh for. It's not being a great defensive player. It's these
that
plays.
Is so sad because they really did. They did a great job on Adrian Peterson. I thought for the first time he and Fairley played like what they expected them to play as a combo, and all we're going to be talking about for this week is that silly hit.
You had Clay Matthews hitting Colin Kaepernick out of bounds. You had offsetting penalties. The officials missed it. It should have been a 4th down. They gave them the replay 3rd down, or they replayed 3rd down. Mm-hmm. They got the touchdown pass, so they would have had to settle for a field goal there. What you saw with that game itself, overall view of it, and then we'll get specific with Packers and Niners.
Well, what I saw was Green Bay working all year, going to college clinics on how to stop the read option, and Colin Kaepernick said, you know what, I'll just sit in the pocket and beat you and torch you for 400 yards. To me, that was the thing that I saw, the chemistry he had with Anquan Boldin, getting Vernon Davis involved. Now you're trying to take away the run and stack the line of scrimmage. that was pretty awesome to see.
Well, I think what people get caught up in, it's just like when people say Andrew Luck is more athletic than I thought. Oh,
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick can throw a little.
No kidding.
Colin Kaepernick has one of the strongest arms in the game and is actually a very good passer, but we get caught up in his athleticism, and I think that's where people step back and go, he threw for 400 yards, but he looks like he's a quarterback who can run, not a running quarterback who can throw, and I think that's the big difference. But the fact the Packers geared up for this after seeing it last year and looked even worse this time around than last year.
Well, they did what they wanted to do, though. They took away Kaepernick running. They held Gore under 50 yards. So you think, hey, we've got these guys stopped. And San Francisco showed a different way to win. And I was really impressed with Kaepernick. Bolden's the real deal. He just does what he did. Vernon Davis, who said, last year I wasn't getting the ball enough, now he's getting the ball. I thought they'd missed their receivers that were injured. Crabtree and Manningham didn't miss them at all.
How about Mike Wallace is already complaining about his role? You won a game. It's week one, and Mike Wallace is talking about his lack of balls thrown his way.
And the thing he didn't understand, other guys got open because he's getting double covered or he's getting the attention. You won. You're off to a good start. You know what? That's okay. Come in and complain to me as the head coach. If I'm Joe Philbin, I don't mind that. Hey, you want more balls? Great. I used to hear that all the time from Marvin Harrison.
I've never
and Reggie
heard a
Wayne.
receiver say, you know what, I've got enough.
And we know that. But don't go to the media and say that. Just come to me and we'll be fine.
Tony Dungy will stay with us for a few more minutes. We'll come back. We'll talk about the Giants game against the Cowboys, what he saw last night. We even look ahead to Seattle, San Francisco next Sunday night on NBC. The Steelers situation, it might be the embryonic stages of the decline of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
As the next Steeler, I was hurt watching that. That was tough.
Well, not like Marquise Pouncey was.
No, I wasn't physically hurt,
Yeah.
but that did not look like Steeler football.
Tony Dungy, kind enough to stay with us. Then he's got to meet with the commissioner. Well, as a group with NBC.
Yeah, it's not just me.
I got out of it. I didn't have to go for some reason.
I'll take the notes for you.
Do you think that they scheduled this meeting so I wouldn't be there?
Possibly.
Maybe the commissioner didn't want me there. I'd be the guy in the back going, Commissioner, one more thing I want to ask you about. The Steelers situation with Marquise Pouncey. Scott Pioli, the former front office guy for the New England Patriots, he said that he's their best offensive player, that Marquise Pouncey is. And that kind of resonated with me, that you think Steelers, they have offensive guys, including Ben Roethlisberger. You lose Pouncey, but bigger picture here with the Steelers. I don't know what their identity is anymore, other than they're an older team, almost an old team, aging right before our very eyes.
Well, that's why losing Pouncey was such a blow, because they have changed in the last 2 years from a defensive team to an offensive team. It's got to be Ben and scoring points. Their defense isn't dominant anymore, and now you lose the hub of your offensive line. You haven't been protecting well. You're not running the ball, and now without your best lineman, it's really going to be tough. And you've got to outscore people. You can't think that we're going to hold people down like we have in the past.
We normally overreact, certainly the first week of the season, but every Monday here we are, and we're talking about the NFL, and we think we've got things figured out. Give me the team that we shouldn't be overreacting to, either in a positive or negative way.
Well, I'll go back to our game Thursday, and Denver and Baltimore, to me. We're ready to put Denver in the Super Bowl. They played well, but I still saw some flaws. There wasn't great pass rush early in the game. I think Baltimore got fatigued, and you saw some rush later on, and after they lost Michael Orr. So I don't know if Denver played well and 7 touchdowns from Peyton Manning, but let's not put them in the Super Bowl yet, and let's not bury Baltimore. Remember a few years back, New England lost 31-0, and they're done, and they end up winning the Super Bowl. Baltimore's got some weaponry. Defensively, they didn't look in sync, but they've got time to fix that.
The Giants and the Cowboys last night, I know the Giants lost the game, but if I'm the Cowboys and I'm Jason Garrett or Monty Kiffin or Jerry Jones, any concerns with what I saw last night?
Yeah, don't get too elated. You did some good things and did some things that needed to be done. Tony Romo, I thought, was great. He was patient. He didn't try to force things. He took care of the football. Miles Austin back, that's great. They've got that balance at the wide receiver. They didn't run the ball as well as they would like to. And then defensively, new staff in place. Monty Kiffin preaching turnovers. You got the turnovers. But there were some other things. The big plays, that's one thing that defense is supposed to do, eliminate the big plays. You can't have 70-yard touchdown passes they've got to get that squared away. But overall, you won, but there's room for improvement.
If you could only watch one of the offenses tonight, the Redskins or the Eagles, even though they're playing each other, but if I said you could only watch one, which one has more curiosity?
I'd probably want to watch Philly because I just want to see how fast this ball is going to be snapped, what they're going to do, what they didn't do in the regular season. But I got to watch RG3 to see if he's going to change the way he plays. He says no. Everybody's telling him you need to change. I'm really anxious to see what he's going to look like, not physically, but how he approaches the game.
Would you ever have your players intentionally fake an injury to slow down the offense?
I didn't believe in that. I really didn't. We had a lot of hurry up in Indianapolis when I was there. We saw all kinds of things. We saw the signals and all that.
The dive signal.
Yep. We saw that. We saw guys look like they're dead and come back 2 plays later.
The worst offender team.
It was Houston, and their defensive line coach had been in Indianapolis before. So Chad Bratsky, he showed me. He said, "Here's what the signal looks like. Here's what the guy's going to do." And sure enough, it happened.
How tough is it to, I guess, put that rule into play that you think somebody is actually fake? I mean, it's kind of hard. Once again, we go back to what is intent. How do you call intent?
It's hard, and to me, it's just a gentleman's agreement. And if you're going to do it, and Urlacher says everybody does it, I was surprised to hear that. I just didn't believe in that. I thought if you need to fake an injury, you're not coaching well enough.
You got Michael Vick, and this might be his last go-round. This season right here might be his season to either stay, they improve, they get better, or maybe Mike moves on.
I think it definitely is, and I think he's looking at it that way, but he also feels like, well, I've got the chance to shine. I've got some big play receivers. I love this offense. I'm getting rid of the ball quicker. We're going to spread people out and use McCoy. If he can't shine in this offense, then it may be time, but I think there is pressure there.
Yeah, just trying to figure that out with what Chip's able to do. I don't think the Eagles are going to be good this year. I don't have great expectations for the Redskins either. We were surprised with a lot of things with the Redskins. How tough is it when everybody knows what you're going to do? It's one thing to surprise people week to week. Now everybody knows sort of what to expect.
No, that's really the test, and then you've got to be able to execute. Philadelphia will surprise some people with the pace of the game. Then they'll get adjusted to that. But I like Philly's offensive weaponry for what Chip Kelly wants to do. Defensively, that's where they've got to tighten up. And if you're playing that fast and you're scoring quick or turning the ball over quick, then your defense really has to be better. And that's what we're going to have to see with Philadelphia.
Best rookie quarterback performance yesterday was by who? E.J. Manuel, Geno Smith, or Terrell Pryor, if you want to call him.
I liked all
debut.
I liked all 3 of them, but I really think Geno Smith in that environment with everybody watching him and making a couple plays to win the game, I thought that was the best. I loved Manuel against a really good defensive team that's going to give you different looks. And Pryor, I thought the Raiders would get blown out. I really did. But Pryor and that offense surprised me. So they were all good, but I'd have to say Geno.
I don't know if the Raiders have a quarterback, but I applauded them to going with Terrell Pryor. He'd at least keep plays alive. Matt Flynn was not going to do that, and with that line, the lack of offensive talent, you sort of need a quarterback to do something. Carson Palmer, if you give him the ideal line and wide receivers, okay. You need somebody who's going to be able to kind of scramble for their life.
They have to be happy. He gives them a chance. He gives them some life and some thought that they can win, and I thought that was the biggest surprise to me of the whole day. Them
really?
Going to Indianapolis and being a play away from winning the game.
Geno Smith, his job now? You don't think that even if Sanchez gets healthy in week 4?
I think it has to be. You got to move forward, and you got to grow with this guy.
Would you cut Sanchez?
I don't think I would cut him because you still need quarter. You're going to pay him anyway. He's on your books. No, I wouldn't cut him.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult, though, if he's there. It's sort of the elephant in the room that you're paying him all that money. He's healthy. Is he gonna stunt Geno Smith's growth?
I don't think he will. They knew coming in when they drafted Geno Smith. At some point, it was going to change, and he was going to take over. So it happened earlier than maybe people thought. And Mark has to be professional now and just be ready to go if his number is called and if something happens to Smith.
Before I let you go, obviously your son playing with the Oregon Ducks, you're a little bit biased, but USC losing at home to Washington State. And let's just look at a bigger picture here with Lane Kiffin. This is USC. They get skilled players. They don't decide on a quarterback. They have receivers. They have line. I mean, even defense here, okay, they shut down Washington State, if you want to call it that. What is happening here before our very eyes?
I am really surprised. You just expect USC to have those players, those guys who are going to go into the NFL draft. There's so many high school players in that area, so many guys that want to go to USC. You just don't expect to see this. And the last couple of years watching them against Oregon, they've been high-scoring shootouts, and that's what you expect to see, not 7 points against Washington State.
Is Lane Kiffin a head coach, Tony?
I think he is, but I don't know what's happening with their recruiting and the type of players that you get. Maybe it's some of the sanctions. I really don't know, but just not seeing that type of explosive USC team that you expect to see.
You have not been called by USC, have you?
I have not.
You have not.
No.
Okay. Would you coach against your son?
No.
You would not?
No. I wouldn't coach my son either. So.
What would be tougher, coaching against your son or coaching your son?
Coaching him, definitely.
Would he be one of those receivers who comes back and says, I'm not getting enough
balls? Yeah, it'd be like Mike Wallace. How am I not getting the ball? I'm the best receiver you have, and I'm your son.
Yeah.
How am I not getting 10 passes?
Hey, good to see you, and thanks for stopping in.
Thanks, DP.
Tell the commissioner I said hello.
I will pass it on.
Yeah, hopefully I'm not in trouble. 1:30. Your phone calls coming up. Best and worst of the weekend. This is The Dan Patrick Show.
The Dan Patrick Show. Weekday mornings on Audience.